So the Westminster Study Bible is a brand new study Bible that is keyed to the New Revised Standard Version Updated Edition, which came out in fall of 2023. And the WSB is the first from scratch study Bible keyed to this brand new and important update to one of the great translations in the English language of the Christian Bible.
The Westminster Study Bible, or WSB for short, is a new comprehensive study Bible designed primarily for students at any level of study.
The Westminster Study Bible intends to be a Bible for the humanities classroom. Of course, it'll have other uses as well in various ecclesial settings, but the classroom is kind of the place where students and instructors and the text will gather together and talk about various things related to the text.
The Westminster Study Bible is the study Bible I have always wanted to have for teaching my undergraduate liberal arts students. It includes the updated edition of the New Revised Standard Version English translation, wonderful maps and charts, essays that make important connections between the Bible, the liberal arts, and topics that students really care about, and stellar excursuses and study notes written by leading biblical scholars.
It's an attempt to appreciate both the culture of the Bible and the culture that is inhabited in the bodies in the room. So it's an opportunity to engage multiple cultures in this classroom setting.
I want to stress that the Bible is also this Bible, but the Bible generally is also meant for outside the classroom. And again, we might say that all of us are learners, all of us in a sense live in the classroom of life, so be it, and all that is well and good. But I also think the Bible, the Westminster Study Bible, should find a ready readership among those who are faithful churchgoers, who want to learn more about Scripture, and again, think about the way the Scripture from so long ago remains lively and impactful even now. Well, there's three major features that the board talked a lot about in terms of design and then implementation. First and foremost, as one expects, is the study notes themselves. These notes are fresh for each of the books of the Bible and are also prefaced by an introduction to that particular book of the Bible, which in my mind is quite helpfully framed in part as a reader guide or a reading guide to the particular book. So the study notes is a crucial piece. The second piece is the approximately 200 excursuses that are peppered throughout the Bible. And these are of different sorts. We have 4 different types of excursuses that offer different aspects, further probes of various sorts about the biblical material.
And they're planted in various places, closely attached to passages that might address what is going on. So for example, ancient slavery in Israelite culture will be in Exodus and in Deuteronomy. And then we have a comparative piece on slavery that'll show up in Paul's letter to Philemon.
The excursuses expound on the Bible not only in its ancient and literary context, but also in relation to how it has been interpreted over time and how it connects to ideas and events well beyond the biblical texts themselves. The excursuses are truly a standout feature of the Westminster Study Bible.
Finally, the board was keen to develop a list of thematic essays gathered together at the end of the Bible that cover a lot of very important topics that should be present but don't really find their way into study notes or an introduction to a biblical book or to these excursuses, which are fairly short.
The essays cover a range of topics. Readers will encounter not only essays on the Bible and the collection and the Bible and ancient cultures, but also essays on the Bible in music, in art, in public life, and in film and media, and other topics that showcase the interdisciplinary relevance of biblical studies for liberal arts students.
And so these essays can be starting points for students to do deeper study as they read and learn about why these texts, written in a particular time and place, still have resonance.
So these three aspects are just several of the many important elements or features of the WSB, but in my mind are really crucial in the editorial design. Well, one thing that's unique about the WSB is that it is from scratch. So there are already a study Bible or two on the market, keyed to the NRSV updated edition, but this one is brand new with a very large and diverse contributor pool. And so that's one notable thing. From scratch and the size of the contributor pool, all these things were commissioned fresh and anew for the WSB.
So lots of our contributors will engage this new translation with a history and awareness of not only Hebrew and Greek. All of our biblical contributors have experience in Hebrew and Greek, but also with other English translations. And so they understand when something like, let's take the word doulos in Greek, which can be translated as slave, or it can be translated as enslaved, or it can be translated as enslaved person, or it can be translated as person who is enslaved. So our contributors will be wrestling with something like what the nrsv-ue presents with that term, which is most often translated in this new translation as slave, but occasionally is also translated as enslaved. Our contributors will be wrestling with that English translation in light of a history and awareness of English translation usage around that term.
There's a number of other aspects of the Westminster Study Bible that are unique, though, and that set it apart. I would say one of the key things that came to mind early on in the editorial board was to think about this Bible's use in the classroom, and that it would be designed by teachers and for teachers, and particularly for use in classroom context. So that's one of the great things about the WSB is its clear-eyed focus on the classroom and pedagogical use.
What is unique about the WSB, however, is its emphasis on what is known as reception history, which is what the Bible meant not only in its historical context, but what it means now. Historians like to call this the so what question. Why does reading the Bible matter? And the WSB takes that question seriously in its conception and organization. Why should a student today, regardless of religious background, care about what the Bible means?
A lot of thought has gone into this study Bible in terms of not leaving the study notes or the Bible itself just solely back then in an ancient cultural context, but also to think about the Bible now, its contemporary cultural context, as it were. So some of the language we've used is this Bible is about back then and also since then, or back then and all the way to right about now. And so the attention that's been given to thinking about the ancient context, especially in the notes, the study notes, the cultural notes is what we sometimes call those, coupled with the way the excursuses and thematic essays take this material all the way up to the present day, really does model the way the Bible remains a lively text and how we approach the Bible with real questions.
The contributors are attuned to how readers and communities today engage biblical texts and traditions in ways both similar to and different from previous generations. And they understand at a deep level what it means to interpret the Bible in their own context. I've learned so much from them, and their voices will help readers see and grasp the ongoing relevance of studying these ancient texts.
I think that readers will find this Bible freshly and excitingly interdisciplinary. That this isn't just a study Bible about ancient history, or just a study Bible about literary forms, or just a study Bible about religious themes or theological topics.
It doesn't presume that people should read the Bible just because it's the Bible. They should read the Bible because there are ideas, sometimes very good ideas, sometimes very problematic ideas, that a person should know and should be able to articulate and understand why these texts matter and how we can use the Bible as effectively and honestly as we possibly can.
And so that interdisciplinarity is a tricky thing to pull off and pull off well. But the WSB has had it in mind to try to bridge multiple disciplines and to show, again, the contemporary liveliness of Scripture.
When we began this project, one of the things we thought a lot about was how many of our instructors are people who have to teach introductory classes to the Bible who do not necessarily have training like many of our editors and contributors. That is, they might be trained in theology, they might be trained in ethics, they might be trained in some of our universities in other areas and other religious themes and practices and disciplines. And yet they too are asked in some of our settings to teach an Intro to the Bible course. So we took very seriously that many of our instructors, not all, but many of our instructors will not actually have kind of the tools of the trade in the discipline. And so our notes are frequently attempts to both help the reader, but also kind of help the instructor.
I envision the Westminster Study Bible being used at all areas of an academic experience, from undergraduate to seminary to doctoral. At an undergraduate level, for example, this Bible could be used to introduce students to a particular biblical book. The notes are there so that students that don't have familiarity with Hebrew or Greek or Aramaic can understand some of the word plays that are happening in the text.
In that spirit, one of the things we've tried to do was to write very careful introductions to each book of the Bible, which will allow the instructor to give an introduction to the readers and to their students, and also to take very seriously that the notes that are written at the bottom of the page are investigating, describing, explaining, exploring all kinds of things that are happening in the biblical text above.
I can easily imagine faculty assigning not only study notes, but essays and even excursuses as required course reading.
We hope that instructors will take the semester-long syllabus, and perhaps many of them will actually have an essay that they read each week from the back of the book. The Bible in art one week, the Bible in music another week, the Bible in literature another week, and so on. And use those essays as moments of engagement to kind of step outside of the Bible and to think more holistically about the function of the Bible in wider culture, in wider conversations.
The Westminster Study Bible, with state-of-the-field scholarship, informative essays, and engaging excursuses, is designed to work well as a textbook, not only for biblical studies courses, but also for other courses in religious studies, philosophy, and the humanities. While it can function as a student's primary textbook in a biblical studies course, it can serve as a key resource in multiple disciplines, including courses in history and literature.
In the undergrad curriculum, it would be easy to imagine the WSB is the primary, if not only, textbook assigned for that class. That it is meant to be in many ways a one-stop shop. With the graduate course, it would be no doubt supplemented by other such things like other textbooks or additional readings of various sorts. But again, here too, the WSB, in its attempt to be comprehensive and with its attempt to be thoughtful in its range of attention to interpretation back then and now, it can function as a primary textbook or the primary textbook in even graduate level courses on the Bible.